Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I post lifestyle content, beauty content, and unboxings, and I have been a little bit silent for a while, and I wanted to give a little bit of an update while I get ready for Christmas Eve. So I'm starting with Bare Minimal's Prime Time Foundation Primer. This was something, I think I got it from Ulta in one of their beauty sets. So it's nice, it's a little gel primer. I don't use primer often. I use my skincare as primer, but I figured why not, because I'm going to be wearing like proper foundation and not necessarily tinted moisturizer. So I have that primer soaked in. And one step that I'm going to do for extra glow is I'm going to use the New Band Beauty De Glow, and this is in the shade Aria. It's a nice like golden highlight. I'm using it underneath just to add extra glow. And I'm just gonna use my fingers on the high points of my cheeks and on my forehead area and my nose. Just so the foundation gets a little bit extra glow when I put it on. So in terms of an update, in the beginning of this month, December 2nd, actually, I remember the exact date, I was leaving to do what I normally do and what you've probably seen in the past with day in a life videos and things like that, or week in my life videos, to teach bootcamp classes. And I teach on Wednesdays at 6:30. So I was leaving around 6:15, 6 o'clock to take out recycling and then go on my way. As I was walking down the steps inside my apartment building, I missed the last step, landed hard on my right leg, and snapped my knee. So I heard the pop. It was terrible, the worst pain ever. I'm using the Honest Beauty Tinted Moisturizer and combining it with the It Cosmetics Your Skin But Better Foundation. This is a little bit more red tone, and then this is like my skin tone a little bit more towards my like January skin. So I'm mixing the two together to add a little bit more of that perfect match color. I also want to use up some of the foundation. I have a lot of foundation to use up. So I'm just going to use my Real Techniques brush, put one pump of the Honest Beauty and one pump of the It Cosmetics. And I'll probably use a little bit more of the It Cosmetics around my mouth. But going on with the story, so I'm lying on the floor, the tile of my building outside, and it was just probably the worst pain. And the first thing I thought of was like, well, there goes my powerlifting career. If you don't know, I am a competitive powerlifter, and I had planned for meets later on in 2021, in the spring and into the summer, especially after many months of not training heavily because of gym closures and the pandemic. I was looking forward to that, and I had just started like easing into powerlifting training, so it felt great to have like lifting heavier weights and doing more than just teaching boot camp. So that was my first kind of thought process. Like, oh my gosh, is my knee ever going to be the same? What's going to happen to my lifting career? Not that that's all that I think about, but it is a huge part of what makes me who I am and a huge part of what I like to do. The second thought was obviously like I have to call someone. I was screaming for help. My neighbors, who are amazing, I have these Mormon missionary neighbors that have been here for a couple years on their missionary assignments, I believe, and they helped and they stayed with me. They called 911. They tried to crack jokes. They prayed over me, which was amazing. And I felt a lot of peace because of that, because I knew that God was like with me in that moment, even though I was scared and cold and embarrassed and all of the things. So I go to the hospital, and you know, the hospital is not your first place to want to go to during a pandemic. So that was frightening, but the paramedics were really kind. They reassured me. The nurses and everybody that was with me reassured me. And I just felt really protected. And this is my first major injury. I've never had a major injury ever. So it's a blessing that at 32, that was my first injury and I wasn't like a kid. but it was also a knee injury that's different than most other knee injuries. It's not an MCL or ACL tear or anything like that. I tore my patella tendon, which, if you're not familiar with the anatomy of the leg, the patella tendon is a tendon that attaches your kneecap to your shin bone, which is called the tibia. So it's a major tendon to tear. It's not the most common, so it was a really traumatic knee injury. Especially, it's just a freakish accident to happen doing something that I probably have done tons and tons of times going down the steps in my building. And I've carried too many things many times. How many of us over carry things leaving our buildings? So it was annoying and sad that that happened, especially during this Christmas time. It's such a festive season. It's my absolute favorite season. I had plans to go shopping with my sister, to do things at work, service events for my job as a service coordinator, and those were suddenly put on pause. I'm now using the New Band Beauty In My Skin Liquid Concealer, and the shade is 046. This is a little bit thicker than my go-to Ilia concealer, and I'm not drying it down. I'm keeping it high up so that it doesn't really like draw my skin down and sag. That's a tip that I actually learned on TikTok, so sharing it with you all. And then I'm not using a wet blender. I'm using a dry blender so that it stays more matte and less spread out. So you can see it's still pretty natural, but it brightens up my under eye pretty well. And then I'm gonna use my NYX concealer just around here, concealing any like extra dark circles that weren't concealed. I might go back in with the New Band and layer it. And I like the combination and the finish of just the two pumps. I think that did a great job of covering up my skin but keeping it looking natural. So the next step was then, obviously, after I left the emergency room, they did an x-ray and they said, in fact, you know, my patella had been unattached from my tibia via the tendon. So the x-ray proved that, and I went to see an orthopedic surgeon the next day. I was really lucky to have coworkers and friends that, you know, knee injuries is a common injury, so people know someone who knows someone that could see me. So I called the surgeon that my friend recommended that I work with, and I was able to see them the next day. And then I was transferred to a more specialized surgeon because it was a really bad knee injury. And I was scheduled for surgery the following week. So that would be 2 weeks ago now that I had my knee surgery. Never ever had surgery at all. Totally scared. But again, the nurses were amazing. Friends and family that showed up, gift bags, like meal delivery things, amazing support. But it was also a lesson to kind of just like slow down. I was like, I need to edit. I had all these like drafted videos and I was like, this was the year that I was gonna actually like do Vlogmas better than the last year. And I just gave myself permission to pause on that, pause on my podcast. Again, I've been taking some time off the podcast. Now wasn't intended at all. I wanted to go straight through the new year, do a best of episode, all of that. And that wasn't going to happen. So I kind of had to give myself permission to readjust my goals. And so that's a lesson that I've learned. Next, I'm going to do my eyes. So because it's the holidays, I'm breaking open a few beauty counter favorites. I am a beauty counter consultant, but even when I wasn't, I took a pause of being a beauty counter consultant. I still love the products because they're clean, my skin reacts well to them, and they're beautiful and they work well. So the first is this Romantic palette. It has really nice like plums and purples. There's also their like regular palette. This palette is actually going to be discontinued, so I will leave a link down below if you're interested in a nice clean beauty palette that you can use for New Year's Eve, Valentine's Day. Stock up while it's on clearance. So this shade is Smolder, which is a nice like dark shade, and I'm going to use that. But first, I'm going to start with the shade Brulee and just wash it over. On my skin tone is really just a wash of a base of a color so that I could build up. And then I'm going to go with Brulee. It's really pigmented, so I'm just going to dust it on the outer corners. And I can always add. And just keep sweeping in. I'm like not even, I'm tapping because I'm just sweeping in. Okay, so it looks pretty dramatic now. And then next I'm going to go in with a cream shadow. This is in the shade Amber. I've been using this nonstop. I got this in November. This was my go-to eyeshadow. I feel like in the world of wearing masks, the eyes are here to shine. So even if you're going out for Christmas or New Year's Eve, you can have a bolder eye look because I think that's what people will see more so because our lips are covered. So what I'm gonna do is put this in the corner of my eye and then draw it out almost like you're doing a cut crease but with the cream shadow. So since my surgery, I've just been trying to relax. I have the benefit of working from home, if you've seen, working at a school, but we have some virtual days, and being that it was so close to the holidays when it happened, there was some disruption in my plans, but I have amazing colleagues that were able to help me, and I have the ability to do a lot of things like my volunteering, teaching religious education. I even recorded a couple episodes that will be out in January for my podcast virtually. So that was manageable and doable. And now I'm just blending the like palette eyeshadow with the cream and just making it a little bit more seamless, as you can see. And then you take a clean brush and just clean out the edges even more. And if you want it to be a little bit less smudged and more clean, what you can do is take a concealer brush and just whatever old concealer you have, or even your beauty blender, and just put the old whatever is left on it to clean it up, but also it's not adding anything or taking anything away, and it's just kind of giving you clean lines. Now I also want to add a little bit of smudge in on my lower lashes because it's a fancier occasion. So what I'm going to do is take that smolder, mix it in with truffle, put it on my hand so it's not super pigmented, and then smudge it in the bottom. Go back to my hand and smudge it in. Not super dramatic, but adds a little extra dimension. Another thing that's been a benefit is just relying more on my support system, especially my family, my husband. I'm a very independent person, so the idea of asking for help like literally drives me bonkers. I could not. But, you know, it's a lesson in knowing that no man or woman is an island and is meant to do everything on their own. So, as much as it kind of like pained me to do, I knew that I had to like, this was like God's time to show me that he has placed amazing people in my life and I should trust in that. And so I did. And it's been hard. It's not like easy, but it's also been really beautiful to see how people show up for you. I'm one person that will show up for other people. So sometimes givers have a hard time receiving. And so that's definitely a lesson that I've learned. To add a little bit of more contour, so to speak, I'm using the Uoma Beauty Double Take Sculpt and Strobe Duo Stick. It has the contour side and the highlighter side. So I'm just gonna slightly warm up my edges of my face. And then while I have it, I'm gonna put the highlight part. You could also use, and I've done this before, Moonlight here. Sorry, I have some of my smolder got all over the place, but you could also use Moonlight here as a highlight. That's more of like an icy highlight, but I wanted this golden highlight to go with the New Band Beauty that I put underneath. And I'm gonna put some exaggerated highlight on my cheeks, the high points of my cheeks, really exaggerated, and I'll show you why. And so, now glitter everywhere. So that's the highlight and contour, and then I'm just gonna blend that in. If I can find my brush, here you go. Do, 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 do. So the future of my leg injury looks like, obviously I'm not going to be teaching boot camp classes, and I can't drive because it's my right foot, which is my driving foot, at least for a few weeks. I actually have my next follow-up. They took the staples out and everything is healing pretty well. I have to keep my legs straight. So my next follow-up is mid-January. And so it's 6 to 8 weeks from surgery, not from injury, obviously. So it'll be a while before I'm like feeling a lot more like myself, mobile, but I'm moving pretty well with my crutches, and I'm getting a lot better at crutches. I hate crutches. I don't know anyone that loves crutches, but I'm getting better at them. And I'm also getting more comfortable, you know, figuring out how to set up working from home. I can't really sit at my desk the same way, moving in breaks and things like that. For my blush, I'm going to use the Beauty Counter blush, and this is the shade Raspberry. And I'm just going to use it to tone down the highlight, but also add some color. It's just a nice subtle blush, and then I work in that cream, set it with the blush. And I can work it in more if I want to. And lastly, I'm just going to do a simple eye because I'm going to probably do a bold lip. This eye is bold, but not like too bold that I can't also do a bold lip. You can also do a nude lip, and I'll show you that option. So this is my Bare Minerals mascara. It's a fluffier mascara. You could also line your eyes. I'm choosing not to do that, mostly because I can't find my eyeliner right now. And since I'm on crutches, I just can't be bothered to look for it. There's very few mascaras that don't irritate my eyes, even though they're really amazing mascaras. They sometimes, after a few hours, they irritate my eyes to no end. So this one does not, as well as the Honest Beauty one that I talk about a lot, does not irritate my eyes. Okay, and you can see kind of how like that highlighted part in the middle really brings, for me, it like opens up my eyes and it makes me look like more awake and alive. And then I'm just gonna put a little bit in the bottom, not too much. I love the highlight. Oh. And then I'm gonna do my brows. I'm gonna use the Beautycounter brow gel, keeping it simple. You can also use a pencil and gel. And I just start like right here and move forward. And then if some strokes hit the center, that's cool, but I'm not starting there. Same with this side. And those are my brows done. I have to do my lips. I'm gonna put lip balm on, and this is like, it's very lightly tinted Rose Nude from Bare Minerals. If you knew you were wearing your mask all the time, honestly, you could be done right now. Eyes are done, eyebrows are done, and you just have your lip. But I'm going to show a couple lip duos that you could do. So this is the Maybelline Superstay lipstick. It's a nice pink. So you could do this pink shade, pretty nude. You can even line and use a gloss, which I have this Beautycounter gloss in Mulberry. I've been using this nonstop. Goes with my headband, amazing look. So that's the second lip look that you can do with this makeup look. And then the last one is just a classic matte lip. This is from the Selena's collection, and it's the MAC shade Dreaming of You. It's a nice, like, darker matte red. I like the holiday red. My favorite holiday red would definitely be Fenty's lip, but I think that this looks the best on me. And you want to find the red lip that looks the best on you and makes you feel the most confident. So those are the three lips that I would recommend for anyone, especially if you have a richer skin tone like myself. So I am so happy that I have had the time to rest and take time for myself. And I'm hoping that in this Christmas season, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, whatever holiday you celebrate, that you take time for yourself and your family to rest, and don't let an injury force you to rest. And I hope you have an amazing new year, and stay tuned for some more content. I will be doing a lot of sit down content and less vlogging because obviously I will be sitting a lot in the next few weeks. So stay tuned for that. If you like to follow my podcast, I'll link my podcast down below, and follow me on Instagram so you can see my day-to-day of what I'm up to. Have a great day. Subscribe and like if you'd like to help support this channel, and I wish you a happy new year. Bye.